Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Capus. Soybean schools were held in February of 2015 to provide in-depth training targeted for soybean producers from Kansas State and other professionals giving workshops. Stu Duncan gave a workshop on increasing acreage in the central part of the state and beyond.
This morning I was presented at our soybean school, the first of our four that we're having statewide this week. My presentation here, to Salina, we're covering as many aspects of intense soybean production as we can. So our acreage has grown so dramatically in the central part of the state. As I look back 12 years ago, so the beans or more were planted east of the Flint Hills. Now the central part of the state is picking up over 40% of the state acreage now, from south to north. Really has grown in the central part of the state, and that's why I think it's very important that we were here at Salina. We'll be in Derby tomorrow, Independence on Thursday, and then up in Sabetha up in the northeast corner on Friday.
Soybean yields are affected by many factors, some of which were introduced in the workshop in Salina. Distinctive psychological characteristics provide insights for unusually high soybean yields, responsible management practices creating a unique maximum yield, and of course, weather conditions. They remain influential on yield. These and more are ones that producers need to watch for.
What my presentation involved was the soybean production management, the aspects of what the farmers can do to produce a high-yielding, viable crop. Still very restricted by the weather, but most our Kansas data and data from results from surrounding states would show that planting date, weed control, making sure we've got enough seeds out there, and that's my presentation was more of a general one, but planting date and row width are probably our two biggest factors, at least in the central part of the state, depending upon your yield environment. When you're in a higher yielding environment, and I would call that 50 bushel plus potential, you can incorporate a few more practices, a few more tweaks into the system. In the 25 to 40 or 50 bushel yield environment, still I think row spacing can make a big difference, and especially here in the central part of the state where we have a lot of heat, and unless it's irrigated, now I'm talking pretty much dryland. If you're on an irrigated site, I certainly would go with a 15-inch or narrower row if I had the capabilities to do that. Narrower row spacing will just allow that canopy to form quicker. It will, which will save water and keep the canopy cooler when it's in those critical flowering times. And in central Kansas, or as in most of Kansas, in a dryland situation, you can do that all right, and if it still gets, and we hit our very hot temperatures at peak flowering times, we still can have issues with pod set, because what we want is as many nodes on that plant with as many, that equals more flowering sites, which equals potentially more pod sites, which gives us potentially more pods and then more beans per acre.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Poe, here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.